Hello, folks, and good morning. Okay, so there was a lingering question from last time, basically mentioning like, okay, you know that these different install times and whatever else, they may not have mattered much on different devices or whatever else, but those install times were for the UMD disk, and so. Anyway, out of curiosity, I've always had the digital version, so I went ahead and looked on eBay, and well, I found a copy of the Japanese version, funnily enough, which I'm hoping is the one that doesn't have any DLC or whatever on there. So I found that version for like $2.50 because the English version is like 40 plus. So at any rate, it's in pretty decent shape. I don't know how much you can tell, but yeah, overall, like this thing is pretty darn new. There's some scuffs. I mean. On the case anyway, but the disc itself is practically new. However, the question was, how exactly did these load times go on the old chunkster here? So we have the... just jam that crap together, because this thing is not exactly optimal in terms of its oldness and whatever else. Yeah, I'm still working to fix the door on this thing. But at any rate, how bad are the load times is the question. Because in theory, they should be bad enough that they actually justified having a data install option. So let's go ahead and take a look here. By the way, in case you're wondering, yeah, the thumbstick does kind of stick out weird, because technically this one came with a broken thumbstick. I just kind of filed down an extra one I had laying around and slapped it on there to serve as kind of a temporary replacement until, once again, something properly shows up in the mail, and I can get those properly. Let's go ahead and set the brightness down a little lower so it's easier to see. So let's go ahead and... do we have any saved games on this chip? I guess we do. Alright, so I will say, as far as load times go, that one right there I have seen come up on all versions. It's not really anything too spectacular, but one thing I did definitely notice is going in and out of menus, you can tell there's definitely some lag there. Like, especially the shop menu is just... I'm assuming it was saved in some other location or something. But that's kind of the biggest one. As far as fights go, it's really nothing too mind-blowing. Basically, I was testing a few different ideas here. Originally, I was actually thinking, attempting to speedrun this version, which, technically speaking, might be a good idea, but... Either way, if we do end up going down that route, it'll end up being a completely different situation. Anyway, so as you can see, the battles load up instantly. Really, it's just the shops that actually affect load times. Supposedly, supposedly on some bigger maps, there's some lag as well. Though, from what I've been able to find, I haven't really seen that coming up. So if anybody has any leads on that, that would certainly be handy. But yeah, all things considered, God, that still throws me off. And then it's just a different button there. Of course, if it's a speedrun kind of thing, you gotta always snipe cache as you do, and never try to use a tiny little camera to try to figure out where you're aiming. That's never gonna work. There we go, that's a little better. But yeah, so, not really anything too mind-blowing here. It turns out, yeah, shop menu is definitely laggy. Everything else seems perfectly fine, so I guess that more or less kind of answers what the load time situation was there. And I would say, I understand why they put the install question there, but it does seem a little bit unnecessary, like unless it was super convenient to do or something. And by the way, just so you know, just to show that it is from the UMD itself, which a funny note, by the way, if you launch a Japanese ROM, it temporarily switches your controls to Japanese. So let's go ahead and launch custom firmware here. So, well, actually, it temporarily does. They're already back to normal now. But anyway, let's just go ahead and launch the normal one to show for comparison. All right, and for comparison, here it is in One Vision, where it's suddenly instant. So it definitely was the UMD. I'm assuming they probably just had it in some different location, more than likely. I would assume they probably just had the store... stored a little bit separately. Maybe it was an oversight, maybe whatever else. Maybe they were trying to correct for something that they thought would be on all devices. I'll test this on the 2000, and we'll make another video if it's anything different, but as far as I've heard, it's pretty much negligible in the 2000s. So, anyway, so this seems to be a very just only PSP fat type problem. Again, these things have half the RAM of the other ones, so yeah. twice the size, half the RAM, like, for comparison's sake. I mean, this one's in pieces, but yeah. And it's not exactly twice the size, but you can tell there's, like, a solid millimeter or so. Not to mention, this one's just so much lighter. This thing legitimately feels like it's going to explode into pieces if you drop it. These things felt like you could probably punt them across a football field and they get nothing. These ones do feel nice, though, and actually from what I've been able to tell, they are actually fairly durable, and they just sort of feel heavy, you know? Anyway, that's neither here nor there, so that's about that. You guys have a good one. Take care.